We are talking about drone mapping with the Elgin Police, tethered drones with the Metra Police, and how about a little FPV drone flying with the SWAT team? That is coming up next. Hey everybody, David Plummer here from Aerial Influence. Thank you guys so much for checking out the channel. I was going to adjust the lighting a little bit because there's this sort of a crazy shadow on top of my head, but it kind of makes me look like I have more hair, so I'm just gonna leave it like that. We've been working with a lot of police, fire departments for the last several years, and we were lucky enough at the very, very beginning to meet a guy named Matt Uteloven from the Elgin Police Department. He is heading up their drone team. The Elgin Police Department really is leading the way in the Midwest in terms of drone departments. Matt has done a great job of pulling a great team together. They do their trainings every single month, and they come up with best practices that they're willing to share with anybody that calls and asks from different police departments around the country. And as many of you guys know, we've been trying for the last couple of years to find a great, affordable option for indoor flying for police departments for their SWAT teams. We've tried the Mavic Mini, which was great indoors, but it does have some connectivity issues when you get too far away or if you're in a building with a lot of interference. And we tried the Mavic 2 Enterprise Dual as well, but that's just a little bit too big with the prop guards. It's great because it's got thermal, but it's really hard to fit through doors if you got prop guards on, and you definitely are gonna wanna have prop guards on when you're flying in ATTI mode and you're flying indoors. So we had some questions coming in about, what about racing drones? You know, people see these racing drones, the Drone Racing League, I think it's on ESPN now. These are drones that go like 100 miles an hour, some of them, completely different way of flying, which I had heard. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna buy one of these. I'm gonna see how hard can it be. I'm a drone professional, I'm a drone pilot. I've been flying drones for years. How hard could it be to fly a racing drone? So I went out, I bought one of these, an iFlight Bumblebee. I'm not even gonna say where I bought it from because it's been kind of a disaster from moment one that I got it. I was so excited to get it. I flew it the very first time, and here's what happened. Yeah, I was pretty devastated. That was my very first flight, and it wrecked and then wouldn't work anymore. The motors, something was screwed up. I tried to fix it myself. I watched a million videos, tried to figure it out, couldn't figure it out, could not get it going, got very little help from the retailer. So I reached out on Facebook to all these FPV, local FPV pages that had really smart people that were willing to help. And I found a guy named Cesar Alvarado who reached out to me actually and offered to give me a little bit of help. Now Cesar works with a company called Good Venture Drones. He seemed to be like the nicest guy in the world, and I literally trusted him so much after just a couple of hours of talking to him that I let him take my iFlight Bumblebee and my DJI FPV system, and I let him have it for a couple weeks. He actually just happened to live in Elgin, where the Elgin Police are, so I asked him to come along, show me what these little drones can do. Bring your own drones, Cesar. We want you to bring your drones and show us what these drones could do in a SWAT team situation, and we were impressed. Oh, sorry about the Michael Bay style editing there, but I went that direction and there was just no going back. We placed Cesar in a couple of different places during some SWAT team simulations to see what the connectivity level was gonna be like in terms of getting connection to the drone, losing video feed. He was using an analog system, so he actually got pretty good signal throughout that building. I think there was one time that he lost a little bit of signal when he was in a far away room, but he was able to fight through the static and continue flying. And he was able to clear 2 full floors. He flew inside, he flew outside, These things are way, way different to fly. There is no hover mode. There is no return to home. You gotta be on the sticks at all time. You have to be very practiced at what you do. In fact, I think Caesar told me he spent something like 30 hours on a flight simulator before he ever picked the drone up. I wish I had met Caesar before I flew my drone the first time. So are racing drones the answer? Depends on the police department. You're gonna have to have personnel specifically trained on this type of drone for it to be useful for you out in the field. Now, I do think it could be very useful. I think if you could put a thermal camera on one of these, if you could have night vision on one of these, or some lights, and I think you can do all of those things. That's what we're gonna be working on over the next several months. I think these could be very, very useful, but you can't just take a DJI pilot, that's somebody that's flown drones, and be like, all right, go fly an FPV drone. It doesn't work that way. You're flying with goggles. It is much more difficult to fly, but I do think there's promise in this, and I think we're gonna see, as time goes on, I think we're gonna see some police departments designate certain pilots specifically just for using these FPV drones. So we weren't there just to fly some FPV drones. Kevin Snow, who we like to call the George Clooney of the Elgin Police Department, did some drone mapping with the Mavic 2 Enterprise Zoom. My business partner Michael did some mapping as well with the Phantom 4 RTK. And we got to meet up with the Metra Police, who brought along their frontline truck. This thing was amazing. Multiple cameras all the way around this truck. Multiple monitors inside and outside to monitor what's going on around the vehicle at all times. And the big one, the one that we were really impressed with, was the photo kite drone that rolled right out of a little station on the back of their truck and then went straight up in the air. Now this photo kite drone is tethered. It's gonna go about 150 feet max up in the air. Now you're not gonna be able to maneuver this thing. It just goes straight up or straight down. You can adjust the height, but you're not gonna be able to like fly somewhere and go check something out. It does have thermal, it has an RGB camera. It's very, very, very expensive. And I think mostly it's gonna be used when there are large gatherings. Say there is a festival that they wanna keep an eye in the sky at all times. They can put this drone up for 24 hours or even longer than that, and it will continuously record, continuously fly, continuously stay in the air. My only concern, this thing has to be away from the public, because if someone were to walk up and cut that line that it's tethered to, the drone just flies away. There is no safety there. It's not just gonna like return to home or anything. And that's an expensive drone to have just fly away because some drunk idiot cut the wire. But it was very, very impressive to see the way Metra is handling things. Obviously, they got a lot on their plate as well in terms of security, and it looks like they are taking the proper measures to do so. So we want to thank the Metra Police for letting us check that out. We want to thank Cesar Alvarado, AKA Quad Daddy FPV on YouTube, if you want to check him out. And Good Venture Drones, they helped us out. They're still helping us get this quad up and going since the retailer has refused to do anything about it. They say that I ordered the wrong motors. I'm not sure how you buy a drone that's supposed to be ready to fly and they send you wrong batteries and wrong motors. But anyway, and finally, we want to thank the Elgin Police Department, Matt Utilov and Kevin Snow. But we talk about you guys all the time. We want to thank some of the other folks that are there as well, including Brian Powell, Randy Fries, Greg Wilson, Jason Schultz, Marcy Kogut. Those people, we know Kevin and Matt, they just take the glory, but those are the people that are really making stuff happen. We appreciate you guys too. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time.